For coming out. Boy, it's encouraging to these artists and to all the faculty to see everybody coming out to support what's being done. This is Tyler's show, and we're proud of what he's accomplished here. I've gotten to know Tyler through a directed study in portraiture, and he's just done really well. My takeaway from Tyler is just how thoughtful he is, considerate, on time, does what he says he's going to do. He's really, really consistent and thorough. Building all of these from scratch using his family's carpentry tools. I'm going to hire him to build my own frames for me after he graduates. I mean, the craftsmanship is all there, and he brings that to each level of the work that he produces. Let's get up for Tyler.
So for many of you that know me, you would know that this show actually has a lot deeper rooted sentimental value. So it means a lot more to me than just some paint. So I actually lost my grandpa last January. I was there when everything happened, and I was there every day through the time that he was gone. So I started to realize right after the funeral, I was like, okay, well, he's actually gone. What do I have left? And for me, I kind of went through this little bit of a crisis where I was like, wow, I don't really have a whole lot. So I really just wanted to create something physical that I had that, was representative to me of him and who he was as a person. And who he was as a person was that he cared about others, and that was who he was throughout his whole life. So each of these pieces represents somebody that I look up to, and then the person that's depicted next to them is somebody that person looks up to, and they all show a little bit of the interactions that we have with one another, of the lessons that we pass down. For me, I look up to each of the people that are on the left-hand side. So Nathan, who's down there, is one of the most faithful people I know. He's never been ashamed of sharing his faith, and that's something that I look up to. My dad is right here, back there. And I just look up to him, and he's been an example to me of how you love your family and what it means to be a father and what it means to be a man of God. And Ben, down there, who's also back there, is my roommate. And Ben is the example of, always pushing beyond your limits and never giving up when things get tough. So the idea of my show is The Greatest Inheritance. When I started to go through the whole idea of, not knowing what I had left of him, I realized that the lessons that he passed down to me were really more important to me than any physical thing that he could have ever given to me. So basically, all of these show, people and the legacy that they are going to leave behind and what they're going to pass down for future generations. If you have any questions, yeah. Yes.
What do you feel was the most difficult part about creating these?
So I think for me, the most difficult part would have been the initial piece. So I created this picture of my grandpa as part of the grieving process of getting over him passing away. And it was almost like I got to spend a little bit of extra time with him after he was gone. So. Yes.
So, with the backgrounds being the colors that they are, was there any specific reason for the gray tones or the gray kind of wash that you created on the background, or?
So, I thought with creating such a large-scale portrait that really is showing the significance of the person that I'm painting, and I didn't really want a lot of distraction by having a lot going on in the background. And I wanted the main focal point to be the people that I was painting rather than their environment.
Right. And it helps tie everything
Yep.
together, too. So.
Everything's a little more unified since all of these photos came from, different points in their lives. Yes.
Did you do anything to like prep the wood for the paint, or?
I did not. No. Nope. I just drew on them and started painting, and kind of liked that I could see the wood grain a little bit through some of them. But no, I didn't like prime them or anything. Yes.
How long did each one take?
I think the shortest one may have been about 9 or 10 hours, and the longest was 12 to 13. So. Yes.
Tyler, can you talk about your relationship to color and how that influences your painting practice?
I'm not very good at telling the difference between blues and greens, and I figured that out very quickly during color theory. So I don't know if I'm actually colorblind, but every time I've gone to do something involving blue and green, I've gotten them mixed up. So that, thankfully, you know, faces are a lot more red and purple and some like darker blues, but not as much green. So some of them look a little green, but that's not, yeah. Not the intent. So never the intent.
So does that influence how you select your colors while you're working?
Not per se. I usually start with like a base skin tone, and then I'll work down to some of the darker, and then I'll glaze back over it with a lighter skin tone again. Yes.
I know you mentioned that this was like the first time you've ever done portraits, like starting the project. Do you think you'll further on making portraits?
Yeah, so as Professor Seals said, I have a directed study with him, so I'll be doing at least 12 more smaller ones this semester, but I had done one portrait before this show, and then I decided, oh, portraits are a good idea, so I definitely plan on doing a lot more. So I like the interpersonal aspect about it. Yes.
I think you mentioned 4 of the people. Who are the other 2?
So down there is Gail, who is Ben's mom, and then it says a little bit more about their relationship in that frame that's in the middle, and then this right here is David, and he's the pastor at Nathan's church, and he's guided Nathan through his come to faith and his relationship with God. Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the text or the stuff that's in the boxes, or do you want to just have people?
So yeah, so you guys can look at it, and so these were all written by the people that are painted. The only one that I wrote was the one about my grandpa here, and that's just he had passed before I had started working on this show. But yeah, they each say a little bit about the relationship. So.